question that destroyed the FBI director's career took just 94 seconds. Asterisk, who moved Maxwell? Asterisk, September 16, 2025. Asterisk, the 4:47 p.m. Asterisk, Senate Judiciary Committee. Asterisk, Hart Senate Office Building. Asterisk, the mahogany paneled chamber crackled with tension as cameras rolled and the nation watched. 47 million viewers tuned in, sensing something historic, but not yet knowing what it would cost. Asterisk, the FBI director sat at the witness table, suit immaculate, badge gleaming under the lights. For 3 hours, he had endured relentless questioning agency, firings, buried investigations, political pressure deflecting each inquiry with practiced precision. He looked unshakable. Asterisk, what he didn't know was that one senator had spent 6 weeks preparing a trap no deflection could escape. Asterisk, when the chairman recognized the senator from California, the room went silent. Asterisk, director, the senator began calmly. I want to ask you about a decision made last August regarding the prison placement of inmate Maxwell. Asterisk, a ripple moved through the chamber. Asterisk, the director's jaw tightened. His hands gripped the table. Asterisk, I'm not familiar with the decision you're referencing. He replied evenly, prison placement is handled by the Bureau of Prisons, not the FBI. Asterisk, a textbook evasion. Asterisk, 61 seconds in, the senator opened a manila folder. Asterisk, let me refresh your memory. Asterisk, he raised a document bearing official letterhead. Classification markings visible to every camera. Asterisk, this is an interagency memorandum dated August 12, 2025. He said, authored by you, recommending the immediate transfer of inmate Maxwell from a medium security facility to a minimum security camp. Asterisk, the director froze. Asterisk, I don't recall authoring any such memorandum. He said, his voice suddenly unsteady. Asterisk, the senator didn't blink. Asterisk, would you like me to read your words? Asterisk, he read aloud. Asterisk, for reasons of institutional security and administrative efficiency, I hereby recommend the expedited transfer of inmate Maxwell to a minimum security facility. This transfer should proceed without standard review protocols. Asterisk, he lifted the page. Asterisk, signed by you. Asterisk, silence swallowed the room. Asterisk, 90 seconds in, the director snapped. Asterisk, that is not what the document says. He shouted, you are taking it out of context. Asterisk, the senator raised the paper again. Asterisk, this is your signature, correct? This is official letterhead, correct? Which part am I mischaracterizing? Asterisk, the director stood abruptly, chair scraping across the floor. Asterisk, this is outrageous, he yelled. You are weaponizing oversight. Asterisk, director, the senator said, coldly, did you sign this memorandum? Yes or no? Asterisk, the question hung like a blade. Asterisk, you testified under oath that you did not recall authoring it. The senator continued, I have your signed document. Were you lying then, or are you lying now? Asterisk, at exactly 94 seconds, the chamber erupted. Asterisk, both men stood shouting. The gavel pounded. Security moved forward. Cameras captured every frame as the director's composure collapsed live on national television. Asterisk, then the senator delivered the final blow. Asterisk, you moved her because she had information, because someone wanted her comfortable. And then you came here and lied about it under oath. Asterisk, the room went dead silent. Asterisk, the director had no answer. Asterisk, within minutes, clips flooded every platform. Within hours, the director's credibility was gone. Within weeks, his position was untenable. Asterisk, in law schools, the exchange would later be taught under a single heading. Asterisk, how 94 seconds can end a career. The hearing recessed 15 minutes later, but the damage could not be recessed, or repaired. Asterisk, in the corridors outside the chamber, reporters sprinted, shouting into phones, already framing headlines that would run before sunset. Staffers whispered in clusters. Senate counsel quietly began drafting referrals no one wanted their name attached to, but everyone knew were inevitable. Asterisk, inside a small anteroom, the director sat alone for the first time since the explosion, his tie loosened, hands trembling. Despite years of discipline, an aide tried to speak. He waved them off. Asterisk, across the hall, the senator stood motionless, eyes fixed on nothing, the manila folder still under his arm. He wasn't celebrating. Prosecutors never do when the case ends like this. The work was finished, but the consequences were just beginning. Asterisk, by 5 p.m., every major network had cleared its evening lineup. Asterisk, breaking, FBI director caught in apparent perjury before Senate. Asterisk legal analysts replayed the 94 seconds frame by frame. Former prosecutors pointed out the pause before the denial. Behavioral experts highlighted the clenched jaw, the dilation of pupils, the uncontrolled escalation. Constitutional scholars debated whether the moment crossed from political embarrassment into criminal exposure. Asterisk the Department of Justice released a single, carefully worded sentence. Asterisk the department is reviewing testimony provided today to Congress. Asterisk that was all anyone needed to hear. Asterisk by midnight, whistleblowers began calling journalists, former bureau officials, career administrators. One phrase repeated across anonymous interviews. Asterisk we were told this came from the very top. Asterisk documents, surface routing logs, expedited transfer approvals, emails referencing special handling. Each alone meant little. Together, they formed a pattern. Asterisk 3 days later, the director's chief counsel resigned. Asterisk 5 days later, the inspector general opened a formal investigation. Asterisk 7 days later, a grand jury was impaneled. Asterisk the director did not appear in public again. Asterisk on October 3rd, just after dawn, a statement was released. Asterisk effective immediately. I am stepping aside in the interests of the Bureau and the country. Asterisk the word resign never appeared. It didn't need to. Asterisk the Senate referral cited credible evidence of false statements under oath. Law professors began assigning the hearing transcript as required reading. Students were told to watch the exchange not for the shouting but for the moment before it, when the trap closed and the truth became unavoidable. Asterisk in the end, it wasn't the accusation that destroyed him. Asterisk it was the paper. Asterisk the signature. Asterisk the 61 seconds between denial and proof. Asterisk and the 94 seconds that reminded every witness, every official, every person sworn to tell the truth before Congress of one unyielding rule. The grand jury convened in silence. Asterisk no cameras, no speeches, just binders, sworn oaths, and the slow, methodical grind of facts replacing outrage. Prosecutors didn't need theatrics. They had timestamps, routing chains, and a signature that never moved. Asterisk witness 1 was a mid-level bureau administrator who had processed the transfer request. Asterisk I flagged it, she said quietly. It skipped the mandatory reviews. I was told not to ask questions. Asterisk by whom? Asterisk she swallowed. The director's office. Asterisk witness 2 was a Bureau of Prisons official. Asterisk we don't move inmates like that. He testified, not without extraordinary justification. This came pre-approved. Asterisk witness 3 was the most damaging. Asterisk a former intelligence liaison, hands folded, voice steady. Asterisk the concern wasn't security, he said, it was exposure. We were told the inmate might become unpredictable. That word was used repeatedly. Asterisk the prosecutors exchanged looks. They didn't interrupt. They didn't need to. Asterisk outside the courthouse. The country argued. Supporters called it a witch hunt. Critics called it long overdue. Social media reduced everything to slogans, while lawyers focused on something much smaller and far more lethal: intent. Asterisk did he forget or did he lie? Asterisk the transcript answered that question all by itself. Asterisk in November, the House issued subpoenas. Emails emerged referencing comfort measures. One message ended with a line no one could explain away. Asterisk make sure she understands. This was done for her benefit. Asterisk the director's legal team tried containment, memory lapse, stress, ambiguity, but every defense collapsed under the same weight. Asterisk the document existed. Asterisk the signature matched. Asterisk the denial was absolute. Asterisk former colleagues stopped returning calls. Invitations vanished. Even allies avoided using his name in public. In Washington, disappearance is the clearest verdict. Asterisk on a cold December morning, the indictment was unsealed. Asterisk 2 counts of false statements. Asterisk 1 count of obstruction. Asterisk no dramatic arrest. No handcuffs on camera. Just a court summons and a date. Asterisk in the hearing room, where it had all begun, the senator sat alone weeks later, reviewing unrelated legislation. The folder was gone. The moment had passed. Asterisk a junior staffer hesitated before speaking. Asterisk do you ever regret how public it became? Asterisk the senator didn't look up. Asterisk no. He said, public is the point. O's mean nothing if lies carry no cost. Asterisk years later, the clip still circulates online. Grainy, replayed, endlessly dissected. 94 seconds that outlived careers, administrations, and outrage cycles. Asterisk not because of shouting. Asterisk, but because one question was asked the right way, at the right time, with the right paper already in hand. Asterisk, who moved her? Asterisk, and when the answer tried to hide asterisk, the document spoke instead. Asterisk, the hearing ended without applause, confrontation, or spectacle. There was no gavel slam, no procedural chaos, no dramatic walkout. Members filed out quietly, staffers gathered papers, cameras powered down. Asterisk, but the damage had already been done. Asterisk, within minutes, internal DOJ message boards lit up. Senior officials began asking the same question in different language. How exposed are we? Not politically, institutionally, Patel's admission wasn't a partisan problem. It wasn't even primarily a legal one. It was an authority problem. Asterisk, an FBI director had testified about the absence of evidence while conceding he had not reviewed the evidence. Asterisk, that distinction mattered in ways few outside federal law enforcement fully grasped. Asterisk, at DOJ headquarters, career attorneys understood immediately what this meant. Testifying beyond personal knowledge isn't automatically perjury, but it collapses the credibility buffer that protects agency heads. Patel hadn't said. To my knowledge, he hadn't said, based on briefings, he had made definitive claims. Asterisk, the Bureau's traditional defense we speak institutionally failed the moment Massey forced the question into the first person. Asterisk, inside the FBI, supervisors began quietly contacting field offices, not to investigate Epstein. That question was already decided. The concern was exposure. Who had briefed Patel? What language had been used? And whether any written summaries contradicted victim. Interviews already logged in the Sentinel. Asterisk, those summaries existed. Asterisk, they had always existed. Asterisk, every FD-30 created during the Southern District of New York investigation had been uploaded, indexed, and retained. Agents knew it. Supervisors knew it. Legal counsel knew it. The issue was never whether the information was there. Asterisk, the issue was who was willing to say they had seen it. Asterisk, cable news reacted unevenly. Liberal networks focused on intelligence implications. Conservative outlets hesitated, uncertain whether this was an attack on their FBI director or a revelation too large to ignore. The usual partisan reflexes failed to activate cleanly. Asterisk, by evening, legal analysts converged on a narrower point. This wasn't about releasing names. It wasn't about Epstein's crimes. It was about testimony standards. Asterisk, a former DOJ ethics official summarized it bluntly. Asterisk, when an agency head claims there's no evidence, Congress is entitled to assume that person reviewed the evidence. Otherwise, the statement is meaningless. Asterisk, behind the scenes, Patel's advisors urged restraint. No press conference. No clarification. Any attempt to clean up the testimony risked worsening the problem. Asterisk, the problem wasn't that Patel hadn't read everything. Asterisk, the problem was that he hadn't read enough to speak definitively. Asterisk, and Massey had proven it. Asterisk, section 2. What the FD-302s actually are. Asterisk, to understand why the admission mattered, one must understand what an FD-302 is and what it is not. Asterisk, an FD-302 is not a casual note. It is not rumor. It is not unverified hearsay casually tossed into a file. Asterisk, it is a formal FBI interview summary prepared by an agent, reviewed by supervisors, and entered into federal investigative systems. It records what a witness or victim said, in their words as accurately as possible, often within hours or days of the interview. Asterisk, FD-302s are treated seriously because they are evidence, not conclusions, but inputs. They are the raw material from which investigations are built. Asterisk, in the Epstein case, thousands of FD-302s were generated during the 2019 Southern District of New York investigation. Many came from victims who had already testified in civil proceedings. Others came from individuals who had never previously spoken to law enforcement. Asterisk, these interviews were not speculative. They were specific. Asterisk, victims described locations, travel, schedules, intermediaries, payments, security procedures, and critically other men present during their abuse. Asterisk, some names appeared once. Others appeared repeatedly across unrelated interviews. Asterisk, this matters because credibility in federal investigations is cumulative. When separate witnesses, interviewed independently, name the same individuals, that information is flagged, not dismissed. Asterisk, the FBI does not require certainty to document a claim. It requires relevance. Asterisk, which means Patel's statement, no credible information, was not a judgment call. It was a factual claim about what existed in bureau records. Asterisk Massey knew this. Asterisk that's why he didn't argue interpretation. He asked about review. Asterisk if Patel had said, I reviewed them and found them unreliable. That would have been controversial but defensible. Instead, Patel admitted he never looked. Asterisk which raised a more disturbing possibility that no one expected him to. Asterisk Section 3. How investigations narrow without closing. Asterisk the Epstein investigation was never formally closed in the way the public imagines. It was narrowed. Asterisk this distinction is critical. Asterisk federal investigations can remain open while being functionally dormant. Leads can be deprioritized. Resources can be reassigned. Supervisors can request additional corroboration knowing it will never arrive. Asterisk this is how politically sensitive cases die quietly. Asterisk agents familiar with the Epstein file described a pattern. Early enthusiasm followed by caution, followed by silence. Requests for subpoenas stalled. Interviews were postponed indefinitely. Coordination meetings were canceled. Asterisk nothing was denied outright. It was simply never approved. Asterisk by 2020, Epstein-related work had become career risky. Agents learned quickly which topics drew warnings from supervisors. The message was implicit but clear. This goes nowhere. Asterisk the presence of high-status names created an enforcement paradox. The stronger the implications, the greater the institutional resistance. Asterisk it was safer to not know. Asterisk which explains why Patel's admission was so revealing. It aligned perfectly with the internal culture surrounding the case. Asterisk the Bureau hadn't concluded there were no names. Asterisk it had concluded that knowing the names was undesirable. Asterisk Section 4. Intelligence adjacency and jurisdictional fog. Asterisk Massey's decision to introduce intelligence-related documents was deliberate. He wasn't alleging conspiracy. He was establishing jurisdictional confusion. Asterisk when criminal conduct intersects with intelligence assets, real or perceived law enforcement agencies often hesitate, not because of formal prohibition, but because of ambiguity. Asterisk who owns the case. Asterisk who has authority. Asterisk who bears responsibility if something goes wrong. Asterisk Epstein existed squarely in that gray zone. Whether he was an intelligence asset was almost beside the point. What mattered was that senior officials believed he might be or might have been protected. Asterisk that belief alone is enough to freeze action. Asterisk agencies defer. Files are siloed. Information sharing slows. Asterisk Patel's conditional answers about CIA files reflected this reality. He didn't deny their existence. He acknowledged uncertainty. Asterisk uncertainty is corrosive in oversight. Asterisk if no one can say definitively what exists, no one can be held accountable for ignoring it. Asterisk Section 5. 3 administrations. Same outcome. Asterisk perhaps the most uncomfortable truth was that responsibility could not be localized. Asterisk the Epstein files spanned administrations. Republican and Democratic attorneys general had access. FBI directors changed. U.S. attorneys rotated. Asterisk nothing changed. Asterisk that continuity suggested the problem was structural, not political. Asterisk each administration inherited the same dilemma, pursuing the full scope of the Epstein network risked exposing failures, compromises, and protections that predated them. Asterisk the safest option for everyone was institutional inertia. Asterisk Massey disrupted that equilibrium by reframing the issue. He didn't ask why nothing was done. Asterisk he asked how someone could claim knowledge they didn't have. Asterisk that question bypassed ideology. It forced accountability into the present tense. Asterisk Section 6. Why this moment was different. Asterisk congressional hearings often generate outrage without consequence. This one did not. Asterisk because the exposure wasn't speculative. It was procedural. Asterisk Patel didn't deny the existence of documents. Asterisk he didn't dispute their contents. Asterisk he didn't challenge Massey's characterization. Asterisk he admitted he hadn't reviewed them. Asterisk that admission could not be reframed as partisan bias or media distortion. Asterisk it stood on its own. Asterisk and it raised a final, unavoidable question, one that extended beyond Epstein, beyond Patel, beyond even the FBI. Asterisk how many other times has institutional authority spoken confidently about facts it never examined? Asterisk and how would anyone know until someone asked the simplest question possible?